Hello, and welcome to the Megan Taylor Creative Podcast, a show for entrepreneurs looking to grow their business with digital marketing. In this episode, I'll be explaining cross-channel marketing and how you can create an excellent cross-channel marketing campaign that increases reach and helps you to achieve your goals. So, I'm recording this episode directly after last week's episode because as you're listening to this, I am hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, I will hopefully be in Florida on holiday. I'm going on my very, very delayed honeymoon. My husband and I, we got married in 2019. We've almost been married for 3 years now, which is just mental to think about. And we initially booked a trip to New Orleans, but we decided when that got cancelled back in 2020, we were given the option to either postpone the trip to a later date or get a refund. So we got a refund and we didn't really book anything for ages. And then we knew that we wanted to go away in October because it was our anniversary, our third wedding anniversary. So we thought, okay, where can we actually go? And we had looked at New Orleans, but the prices had gone up quite a lot since the start of the pandemic. And I think New Orleans, they were hit with quite a bad hurricane last year. And I think there's also still some restrictions that would not necessarily allow us to do a lot of the things that we wanted to do there. So we were thinking about where we could go, where a lot of the restrictions have been lifted. And we also wanted a beach holiday because I've worked really hard this year to set up Megan Taylor Creative. I've had a lot of successes, also had a lot of failures as well, to be honest. And I am ready to just kind of relax. And I've always wanted to go to Miami. So I suggested it a couple of months back. We booked it and now the holiday's almost here. So it's not really kind of, as I'm recording this, it's a couple of days until we go and it's not really sunk in. But with going on holiday, I'm obviously very busy trying to get everything done for my clients and for my own content so that I know that I have content to work with and I just don't have to think about it because that's the last thing that I'm going to want to do. And I also just wanted to give an update and say that the Megan Taylor Creative website, I mentioned this in the last episode, but it is going through a transfer right now. And basically it's down for maintenance and it will be for a few weeks. I know before I leave, I'm not going to be able to get it finished. I've not really had a chance to actually start working on it. So essentially the Megan Taylor Creative website is down and the best way to learn about what I do and my services in this time and including when I get back will be by directly emailing me. But with that said, the business will be shut down completely from the 1st to the 8th of October. And I think I'm going to take a few more days off as much as I can anyway to recover from jet lag and to just get slowly back into the swing of things. So with that introduction out of the way, let's look at the topic of this episode, which is cross-channel marketing. And over the past couple of episodes, I've talked about content repurposing and evergreen content and the content marketing fundamentals. And that's by design. I want everything to flow together. These episodes have all been an extension of one another. So in this episode, as I said, we're going to be talking about cross-channel marketing. And this is really where I started my marketing career. And I have a lot of fond memories of planning some really exciting cross-channel marketing campaigns. I find that they seem a little bit scary, especially if you're a small business owner who's doing everything yourself. You might feel really intimidated to start reaching out and expanding to other channels, but I highly recommend putting the time and effort to planning a really good cross-channel marketing campaign because it can really extend your reach and help you target a wider group of people. This introduction has been quite long just because of the announcements at the beginning, so I'm just going to get straight into it. Let's start this episode by defining what cross-channel marketing actually is. And as the name suggests, cross-channel marketing refers to the ability for brands to leverage multiple digital marketing channels to connect their customers in a variety of ways, which ultimately offers a better customer journey. I find as well that cross-channel marketing campaigns being the main bulk of your marketing efforts are a really good way of helping you step outside of your everyday marketing activities and thinking about your marketing as a whole. In marketing, it can be really easy to think about things in silos. So you have your social media and then you have your website. But what does that look like when a customer goes and finds you on social media, then goes to your website? And how does the experience equate? Is it a flawless experience that helps them discover more about your brand, or is it all very disjointed and inconsistent with messaging and branding? So let's look at the benefits of cross-channel marketing. And the main benefit of cross-channel marketing is increasing your engagement and reach. Cross-channel marketing campaigns just have such a wider impact than smaller email marketing campaigns or just being on social media. Promoting and distributing content across a wide variety of channels really helps you find people on their preferred platforms. And because I've had quite a lot of success with this type of marketing, I don't actually often give out the advice that you should just stick to one social media channel all the time. I think it's good if you're very new to social media. I think that social media can be very overwhelming, but at the same time, your audience is generally actually on all channels. Most companies will have different avatars, and each avatar will have distinct nuances, which might mean that they may use a different channel. So someone who is a 30 to 35-year-old might actually be using Instagram Reels because they grew up with Instagram, than someone who is a millennial who is more accustomed to TikTok. So it's just little things that really create a wider experience for your customers. And people are always under the impression that you have one target audience and they hang out in one place, and that's simply not true. I'm on most social media platforms every day, not just for my marketing but for personal stuff. I check up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn, and sometimes TikTok as well. So you can still find me. It's just I'm going to spend more time in one place than others. Twitter is my preferred platform of choice, so you're more likely to find me on Twitter. But then at the end of the day, if I'm looking for new products or looking for new places to go, I actually prefer finding those places on Instagram because it's a very visual platform and I can see exactly what it is that I would be doing. And cross-channel marketing campaigns really help you to plan how you're going to distribute that content. They really take out the guesswork and make just posting across all platforms way more sustainable. So now that we've looked at the benefits of a cross-channel marketing campaign, let's flip the script a little bit and talk about the difficulties of planning a cross-channel marketing campaign. The first thing that comes to mind is that because these campaigns can be so extensive, there is a lot of planning involved. And I think that's the key thing that puts people off. They're afraid of making all these different assets and pieces of content whilst ensuring that they are consistent with the messaging, the brand identity, and fit the distribution channel that it will be put up on. Social media is a very good example to use to explain cross-channel marketing because each social media has different requirements that you need to meet in order to post something. So Instagram, for example, the standard grid post is 180 pixels by 180 pixels. Obviously, they've expanded that now so that they can compete with TikTok and start to offer a full screen experience. But generally speaking, each platform will have their own standards. Adequately express your message in the correct way so that when you reach your target audience, it actually resonates with them is also another challenge. Again, because you can think about all these different distribution channels in silos and you might try a lot of experimenting, but experimenting is really good and I'm always encouraging experimenting. But I think you need to have a message that's defined, and if you don't, then that's a sign that your business needs a bit of work and maybe isn't as strong as you thought it would be. So to help you ensure that there's a certain level of consistency, it's important to outline the buyer's journey and your sales funnel so that you understand where your customers are going to find you, and then you can focus on really making sure that those touch points, i.e. distribution channels that they find you on, as they go through them. So first they might find you on social media, then your website, website, and they'll subscribe to your email, then they'll go back to your website again. You need to have different pieces of content across those distribution channels that account for the different stages of the buyer's journey. And your sales funnel is essentially just the extension to the buyer's journey. It's the mapping out the journey that your customer will go through. And then I also find that proper execution and maintaining valuable content across all channels can be very difficult, especially for small marketing teams. Sometimes people get very overwhelmed with being able to post, 2 to 3 times a week on their blog, or every day, multiple times a day on social media, or 3 emails a week, for example. We can all be doing more marketing, but if you plan how much you're going to do and say, right, that's how much I'm going to do, test it and then see if you need to do more or less. If you're not getting as many conversions, you may actually need to do more, because people take time to convert. They need to see your product multiple times, and you need to keep grabbing their attention. And then when you've done that, then the sales funnel starts. So now that we've actually looked at the benefits and the difficulties, let's look at how to plan a cross-channel marketing campaign. And the key thing here is to know what your main distribution channels are. And when I say distribution channels here, I mean content distribution channels. So places where you will distribute content, and identify the approach that you've been using so far and what can be improved. So say, for example, if there's a channel that you've been neglecting. So for example, I know that I've been neglecting my email marketing, but I'm trying to use the podcast to fuel content for my email and also my blog, so that I can expand my reach and get my subscribers listening to the podcast and getting any website visitors listening to the podcast. So I've identified how I can improve, and I'm still in the process of figuring out how to do this sustainably. But I'm thinking once I get back from my holiday, I will aim for about 3 emails a week. And that way I'm not overloading my audience with lots of different emails, but they're not going to forget about me at the same time. The next thing to do once you've identified your distribution channels, it's to create consistent messaging. And templates are such a lifesaver for this, because with consistent messaging, you'll also want consistent branding too. So I use Canva for all of this. Canva is great for ensuring that you can post efficiently on different channels, because you can resize your content. So if you're making an infographic on social media, for example, if you're making a YouTube video and then you want to cut that up and repurpose it into a vertical format video on TikTok, for example, you can do that pretty easily. And that takes time, and it's about finding ways that you can create valuable content without wasting a lot of time. And that's why everything that I've talked about in the past couple of weeks, that's where this really all comes together, because you can apply what we've learned from the content repurposing episode and use it with cross-channel marketing campaigns. And I know I spoke about the first cross-channel marketing campaign that I worked on for a fintech startup, where I wrote 14 emails in a sequence, and all those emails were based on the chapters of a book. And then in that email, there was a corresponding blog post that also had covered the topic, but in a longer format. We also would post that content regularly on organic socials, on a Facebook group, and we had ads as well to essentially promote the content, but also to promote the course, because it was a very much an educational piece. And there were a lot of issues with the marketing team and that company, but I find that they did the actual execution of that really well. And I've used that methodology for a lot of my clients since. So starting with a long form piece of content and then thinking about how we can use it across different distribution channels so that we can do some cross-channel marketing. One thing that I didn't mention before, but I would say is important to note, is that you need to have a way to easily understand your analytics, because if you're going to be doing this much work, you need to be able to review the effectiveness of it. And monitoring multiple analytics across multiple different sites. So a lot of social media sites have internalized analytics. You obviously have Google Analytics as well, but that doesn't show you all the data. It can be really hard to keep track of that. So I'd recommend having a platform like HubSpot where you can actually review everything in one place, and that will give you a really good idea as to how everything is performing. So yeah, that's it. That's everything else in this episode. I really hope that you've enjoyed these past couple of episodes and that you've seen the recurring themes that we've been touching on, and that I hope you will be able to apply them to make some really excellent marketing campaigns. I know as I relaunch my website, I will be using these a lot to increase my reach and to generate more leads, increase conversions, get more clients, and build the business. As always, if you really enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you followed us on YouTube and liked this video as well. It helps us out with the algorithm. And thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you next week. Bye.